Hello, you beautiful people. Another episode of Computer Science for Everyone. And today we're going to continue our last conversation. Today is about function, a very specific type of procedure. Remember the last episode we discussed about this very interesting aspect of a procedure that led you to pick up those reusable code, wrap them up into one box, give them a name, and then use them again and again and make the whole life easy in combat with rewriting those code and also for maintenance and editing the code. Today, we're going to see that there's one version, specific version of all these procedure. We call them function, which also has connectivity to mathematics. Let us start and talk about it. So this is the code editor, and I'm going to do that. But before that, let me tell you a little bit about function. In mathematics, when we say f of x, it means there's an equation, there's a formula for the function. We pass the parameters x, and then we get something out of it. For example, let's say f of x equal by x plus 2. So f of 5 is 7. So we expect to get a parameter, to get a value, then do some calculation, then get the result. So input parameter, the function formula, and then the output. It's very similar in programming. In my example, let's say I want to convert Fahrenheit to Celsius degree. This is a conversion. There's a formula between them, and I want to utilize that formula in my coding uh, uh, um, example. So to do that, what we're going to do is, first of all, like procedures, we have to choose a name. So the choosing a name, it starts from the define, and I say, let's say, uh, um, far to uh, SO. Okay, I'll write the full name. Okay, Fahrenheit to such a big name. So, okay, so that's what we're going to do that. And this function, so this is a function, need the input parameters. And then within the function, we do some calculation over the input parameter, then we convert it to Celsius, and then we return back that Celsius. So we need to know how to pass a value to function, how to get something out of the function. But I will talk about it. Let's say later I'm going to write a few things. Let's say I'm going to write some code here. And then, you know what, when we don't want to fill the body for now, there's a special keyword pass. It means for now, pass it. Later, I will back and I will write down. I want to tell you that imagine I do have the function. What's going to happen? For example, let's say we want to know print. We want to print Fahrenheit, Celsius, for example, 20 Fahrenheit. When I have this code, when I print it here, you will see the outcome. For example, now when I run it, uh, it says, I see an error, so I'll talk about error. So you see that I like to call the function, get the value, and then print it. So this is what we're going to do at the end. But you can see that now I have input parameters. So two things we have to discuss here. How we can define input variable. It's very simple. When you define the function, go to the parentheses. Within the parentheses, you can choose a name for coming input parameters, like function in mathematics. You say f of x. You know what in mathematics we write f of x equal by x plus 2, for example. This is the way we define a function. Or if we have a function that get two variables, we're going to say x and y, so is equal by, for example, x plus y. For example, we're getting the average, so divide by 2. So that's another function, right? So these are just sample of function. And here, to define that input parameters, you're going to do it here. For example, I'm going to write that f means Fahrenheit. So now I have done the first part. Let's run the code again. It says none because I don't do anything. It's just empty, nothing. So I'm just going to go here and I will follow the formula for Fahrenheit. I'm just going to write down that, let's say I write C over in Celsius is equal by 32 times, that's the formula. You can search it in the Google and then get it. Times 5 over 9, for example. Let's say to make sure it's a fractional, I make it 5 over 0 to 0.9, something like that. So then I have to do something. If I run the code now, it still is none. That means the calculation is done, is C, but I should return it back. And how we're going to do that, we're going to use the keyword return. Whatever you like, just return it. I want to return C. Very simple. Okay, now I run it. I got now a way of converting to this. But there's something wrong in my calculation because it's doesn't work like that. Um, 20. Oh, I got which part is wrong. I got it. Wait, make it like that. So it's going to be like that. 20. So it's going to be like this. Um, so just let me fix my mistake. So here I made a mistake. Mistake is f minus 32 times 5. Yeah, divide by 9. So that's the formula. So let me run it again. Okay, now it's correct. So now I can see that I just converted to Celsius. So that's how it's gonna work. But look at the function. This is the function. So we call this function. It has a name, it has input parameter, and it has a return value. So this is how it's gonna work. You can have a function that has more than two, for example, variables. Let's say we're going to create a function and we're going to call it average that calculate the average of two value. So get x, y, and then I'm going to write, for example, ABR equal by x plus y divided by 2, and then I can return the ABR or the average. So if I can just change this function and then call it like average, and then let's say average of 8 and 7. So that's what I'm going to do, average. And then when I run it, I'll get the 7.5. You see, I'm passing two input parameters. And functions you can store function values in variable. For example, let's say I can write a equal by this, and here write average, and then make it like an 8. So this is possible also. See that's possible. Or and then I mean I can keep it in a variable like a and can do that because it's basically they're returning a value. So they're like a value, they're like a variable. They do the calculation and they return it back. This is what I wanted to talk about a function. So now you know procedure, you know the function. Functions are very similar to procedures. They have the capability to return something. Both function, both procedure, they can accept input parameters in the same way. No different. Don't think only function does. No, procedure also can accept multiple parameters. Um, so, and also you can return value functions and you can use it in your programming. It's very important because it's bring strong reusability in today programming and let us to organize our code and instructions in a much, much better way. I hope you enjoyed. So try to repeat the code, try to create multiple functions, try to bring those mathematical functions that you know. And function can accept anything, can accept a string, can accept numbers, lists, integers, whatever. If you have a data type, you have both function and procedure, and they can return any data type. That was all about function. Have fun with your coding.